She essentially took a roller coaster ride.
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Once upon a time, space travel was the ultimate symbol of human achievement. You needed courage, intelligence, and a willingness to risk it all in the name of science. But now? Now it's about who can take the cutest selfie in zero gravity. Seriously. Move over Neil Armstrong, the new era of space exploration belongs to Katy Perry, Gail King, and Lauren Sanchez. When Blue Origin launched its historic all-female flight, the media lost their collective minds, throwing around words like revolutionary and empowering like confetti.
Let's not minimize this. Let's celebrate female astronauts.
That's the other thing. There has been female astronauts.
Let's not minimize this.
But what really happened up there? Was it a brave leap for womankind? Or was it a glorified influencer trip funded by billionaires who can't decide whether they're saving the world or just bored of Earth? Stick around, because what went down during those 11 minutes in space has become the most hilariously overhyped achievement of the year. And the internet has thoughts. Picture this: 6 women dressed like futuristic tourists strapped into a capsule that basically does all the work for them. No piloting skills needed. No emergency maneuvers required. Just sit back, enjoy the ride, and make sure your makeup stays flawless for the Instagram shots. Blue Origin's latest space voyage was sold to the world as a mission of empowerment. Reality check. It was an 11-minute roller coaster ride that barely touched the edges of Earth's atmosphere.
Lots of other people in the media were embarrassing themselves during this ordeal. Oprah Winfrey actually wept as she watched the all-female team launch into space.
The capsule was remotely controlled the entire time, meaning the so-called astronauts had less influence over their journey than a passenger on an airport tram. But hey, why let reality get in the way of a good PR stunt? While real astronauts undergo years of grueling training, risking their lives to expand humanity's horizons, these celebrities buckled their seatbelts and floated for a few minutes before returning to Earth to collect their hero badges. If space tourism needed a reality check, this trip delivered it with a side of glam.
And real astronauts are extremely intelligent scientists who've been tested to the limits of their physical and mental fitness. But this was really not women in space. It was stupid people in space. This was the lowest IQ space crew that has ever been launched from Earth.
The moment Katy Perry's feet hit the ground, she dropped to her knees and kissed the Earth like she had just returned from surviving Apollo 13. Social media lit up like a Christmas tree, and not in a good way. Katy's dramatic, painfully staged thank you to Mother Earth was roasted harder than a Thanksgiving turkey. Memes exploded across Twitter, with users comparing her to a reality show contestant who thought surviving a theme park ride deserved a Nobel Prize. But it didn't stop there. Katy also gave a post-flight interview where she declared she felt profoundly changed by the experience after less than 10 minutes in controlled, corporate-sponsored outer space.
They're treating her like she was in Nam. Where are my babies? My babies, like she was almost dead. Here's Katy Perry. Kisses the ground. Right. You were in such danger.
She spoke about feeling super connected to love and goodness, channeling the vibes of a self-declared spiritual guru at a yoga retreat. You have to wonder, was it really the view of Earth that inspired her, or was it the endorsement deals and hashtags waiting on the ground? Either way, Katy's performance ensured that when people remember this mission, they'll be remembering that ground-kissing moment for all the wrong reasons. If you thought Katy's dramatics were bad, wait until you hear how the media handled it. Oprah Winfrey reportedly wept watching the launch, hailing it as a divine gift to humanity. News anchors gushed about how this flight would change the future of womankind. They threw out buzzwords like trailblazing, historic, and empowering, faster than you could say sponsored content.
The celebrities like Katy Perry, who were sent on the stunning and brave girl boss mission into outer space for Blue Origin, are now having complete and total meltdowns over the backlash that they've been receiving for the past 48 hours in response.
But let's be real. What we witnessed wasn't a pioneering scientific achievement. It was a glorified VIP roller coaster ride, designed for billionaires and their celebrity pals. Meanwhile, real female astronauts, the ones who spent years enduring intense training, surviving brutal conditions, and actually doing science in space, watched from the sidelines, barely mentioned. The media's over-the-top reaction exposed just how disconnected they've become from what true achievement looks like. Celebrating an 11-minute luxury joyride as a historic feminist milestone? That's not progress. That's an embarrassing exercise in branding over brains. You know things are bad when even other celebrities can't resist roasting you.
She too. Okay, kisses the ground. Somebody already, you should be kissing Oprah. Oprah's there. Kiss Oprah. She's worth far more to you than the ground. Thank you, Jesus. I mean, truly, it's like they're right back from Nam.
Olivia Wilde couldn't help but repost the now infamous image of Katy Perry kissing the ground, sarcastically implying she thought Katy had just survived an intergalactic disaster. Martha Stewart, never one to miss a perfect trolling opportunity, shared a clip of herself floating in zero gravity, no launch required, with a Katy Perry lyric for good measure. Amy Schumer joked that she had been added last minute to the crew, poking fun at how performative the whole thing felt. When the Hollywood elite starts side-eyeing their own, you know the PR machine is out of control. Normally, celebs stick together like glue, but this time the absurdity was just too much for even them to ignore. Watching these stars throw gentle, but pointed, shade at the so-called space pioneers was more entertaining than the flight itself. It proved that underneath the polished social media posts, even Hollywood recognizes a vanity project when they see one. If there were awards for most offensive celebrity response, Gail King would win by a landslide.
Wendy posted, Wendy's, the fast food chain. Yeah. Can we send her back? Oh! Now Wendy's is refusing to apologize to the post, despite the backlash.
After critics dared to call her 11-minute flight a ride, Gail went on a tirade insisting it was a journey, a word she repeated so many times it practically lost all meaning. According to Gail, calling it a ride was sexist, dismissive, and ignorant. Never mind that the whole thing was remotely piloted and lasted less time than an episode of her own morning show. She doubled down, preaching about how inspirational the experience was for women and young girls everywhere. Because nothing says female empowerment like being invited on a billionaire's vanity project because you're famous enough to help boost Instagram engagement. Gail's over-the-top defensiveness made the whole situation even more hilarious. Instead of laughing it off and moving on, she chose to stand on a soapbox made of zero-gravity flower arrangements and lecture the internet. Spoiler, it didn't work. Let's be clear, going to space for 11 minutes on a fully automated capsule does not make you an astronaut. But don't tell that to the Blue Origin crew. They've practically updated their Instagram bios to say explorer of the cosmos.
What did they do?
That was one small step for womankind, one giant leap backwards for mankind, as far as I can see.
Real astronauts train for years, risking life and limb to advance human knowledge. They don't just float around taking selfies and sipping from commemorative water bottles. There's a big difference between sitting in a glorified amusement park ride and conducting dangerous experiments aboard the International Space Station. If the bar for being called an astronaut is now I sat still while technology did the hard part, then congratulations. Half of America's roller coaster riders should start applying for NASA badges. What made this spectacle even worse was the insistence by some in the media to treat it as equivalent to the feats of pioneers like Sally Ride or Mae Jemison. No offense, but Katy Perry humming "What a Wonderful World in Space" is not the same as breaking barriers in STEM fields.
An all-female Blue Origin space crew with celebrities including Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, and Gail King has been hilariously mocked after it returned to Earth following an 11-minute trip into the Earth's atmosphere.
The internet wasted no time turning the Blue Origin all-female flight into a running joke. Memes flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, roasting everything from the over-the-top ground kissing to the dramatic post-flight interviews. Some joked that the only thing truly orbiting the Earth was the size of the passengers' egos. Others compared the training process, 2 days of learning how to buckle a seatbelt, to preparing for an Olympic event. The hashtag space selfie tourism trended for hours, and you couldn't scroll 2 posts without seeing someone memeify the flight as the ultimate participation trophy event. And of course, Gail King's insistence that this was not a ride got turned into punchlines about Disneyland's Space Mountain. It's moments like these when you realize that the internet, for all its flaws, still has the sharpest sense of humor. If the mission's goal was to inspire the world, well, they definitely inspired some of the best memes of the year. Space used to be a frontier of mystery and danger. Now it's basically a billionaire's amusement park.
Katy Perry jumped out of the aircraft and kissed the ground in a painfully cringe moment that has been roasted online.
If you've got enough cash, you too can blast off into the lower atmosphere for a few minutes of weightlessness and a lifetime of Instagram bragging rights. Companies like Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic have turned space exploration into a luxury experience for the ultra-rich. And while yes, it's technically a feat of engineering to make commercial spaceflight available, let's not pretend it's advancing science or humanity. It's advancing egos and personal brands. This isn't about forging the future. It's about creating better content for followers and landing corporate sponsorships. For the rest of us stuck here on Earth, struggling with real-world problems like rent and grocery prices, it's hard to get excited about billionaires playing astronaut dress-up. Space has officially become the new playground of the wealthy. And we're all just watching from the sidelines, phones in hand, wondering what ridiculous stunt they'll pull next.
Okay? You even see people like Wendy's the restaurant, completely roasting the heck out of Katy Perry for what she did. The backlash to this entire thing has been hilarious, but the people that aren't finding it very funny are people like Katy Perry and some of the other celebrities.
So the next time you see headlines screaming about a historic flight, just remember, Katy Perry's biggest contribution to space travel was a staged selfie in a flower. This wasn't about breaking barriers or making history. It was about marketing, image building, and flexing wealth in the most absurd way possible. Real astronauts risked everything to open the doors to space. These celebrities walked through those doors with a VIP pass and a personal glam squad. And while they may have floated through zero gravity for a few minutes, they crashed back down to Earth the moment the public, and even their peers, called out the nonsense. Maybe one day, real pioneers will return space exploration to its rightful place. Until then, we'll always have the memory of Katy Perry kissing the ground after her 11-minute spiritual awakening. See you at the next billionaire space party. Maybe next time, they'll actually make it past the atmosphere.